All right, let's do some Mathity-Math. So it says here, find the value of k, and this is just saying, show all your work. Okay, so we can handle this. So when we look at this, we know we're summing up some information, or this is talking about a sequence or series, and this is where to start and where to go. We can handle that, all right? So it tells us that we're going to start at the first term, and this is like our first level of substitution. It's saying whenever you see an I, stick in a value. In this case, it's saying start with 1, or the first term. So you could think of it up here, you can just think like, well, before I had this, and now I'm going to substitute in that value of 1, right? That's our first level of substitution. And if I substitute in 1, that would tell me the value of my first term. So if you could just imagine this right here, it's like saying, okay, I got my first, I'm going to sub in a 1, and this will tell me what is the value of that first term. And we can just look at this and talk about it, right? 1 minus 1, because I put a 1 instead of the I. So 1 minus 1 is 0. 1/8 to the 0 power is 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1, and 3 times 1 is 3. So I know, I'll just put this over here, I know now u sub 1 is 3. Good news day. Let's keep it going. Now, if I found the first term by substituting in a 1, I think it's logical to say, well, I'll find the second term by substituting in 2. Same thought process. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1/8 to the first power is 1/8. And 3 times an eighth is 3/8. Okie dokie. So actually, at this point, I would have enough information to figure out what's letting my terms grow, or in this case, decrease. What's happening there. But just to be safe, I always like to do one more and make sure I'm not making a silly mistake, which happens to the best of us. So again, I substitute in a 1, I substitute in a 2, I'll substitute in a 3. Okay? 3 minus 1 is 2. 1/8 to the second power is 1/64th. And 3 times a 64th is indeed 3/64ths. Okay, now we can figure out what's happening here. We can tell straight away it is not arithmetic because it's not growing or shrinking by an added value. So let's see if it's geometric, and we can do that by just dividing back. Okay, so you can just say 3/64ths. I'm just wrapping in parentheses so it reads like a fraction, and I'll divide back by 3/8. It says 0.125. If I want to see that as a fraction, yeah, it's 1/8. Okay. And so hypothetically, if I divided back again, 3/8 divided by 3, I should also get an eighth, and you will get an eighth. If you don't believe me, let's just do it real quick, I guess. Ta-da! And you can see again, it comes out an eighth. So we know R is an eighth. And what we know now is we know our first term, and we know our rate. And because of this given information right here, we also know what formula we're going to use. And so we're going to use this formula. We're going to use a couple strategies that might make you a little uncomfortable, but that's why we're here to practice, and try to find this answer. So we're trying to find the sum of all the terms as they add up to some unknown place. Okay, so what we're trying to do is find, using that sum formula to find the k, or how many terms there actually are. Okay, so our sum formula, if we look right here, we're going to be using this one right here, but they use n, we're using k, but that's no big deal because they're just variables, and we can change those out. So I guess I'll start over here because we're probably going to need the space. So the formula I'm working with right here is S sub k is my first term, u sub 1, multiplied by my rate to the k power minus 1 all over r minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to start here and just start substituting in. So the first thing I know, it says right here, well, whenever you see S sub k, you can write this value. So instead of S sub k, I'll just write that value. This is the first big piece I'll substitute in. And I'm going to kind of remind us to treat that like a big chunk of data. So I'll just wrap that up in parentheses. Okay, and that whole thing is going to equal my first term, u sub 1, 3. And then my rate, 1/8 to the k power minus 1. And down here is going to be r minus 1. Well, I know r is 1/8, and if I subtract that with a negative, if I take an eighth and I subtract 1 from it, I will get negative 7/8. Let me just show you that, just so we know what happened here. So I was saying I had 1/8. I subtracted 1 from it. I like to use my fractions, so I have negative 7/8. Okay. All right. Now, as I go through this problem, we're going to talk about some strategy I use, and I'm going to use my calculator right next to it, so you guys can kind of see how we want to use this calculator to keep track of data for us, so we can just plug stuff in and kind of keep this process moving relatively quickly. Okay. So the first thing I do is I know I'm trying to get to this chunk of data so I can get to my variable k. But I can't really get to that yet because I need to address my denominator. I want to get rid of this denominator. So what I'm going to do here, if you think about this fraction, 14,043 divided by 4,096, that's that right there. Well, if I want to get rid of this 7/8, it says divided by 7/8, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 7/8. So I'm going to multiply both sides, negative 7/8. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 7/8. And that's all that's showing right there. I hit enter. And I'm just going to let this sit. I'm not going to write this down. I'm just trying to keep track of my data or my process. So now where I'm at is I have negative 7/8 multiplied by my big fraction over here. I'm just rewriting the process so I can, if I get lost, I know where to go. And you can see this whole situation here. I've already done that math. That is represented by this right here. And I'm going to leave that in my calculator. Because if you look, now I have a 3 multiplied by all this information. Remember, this is where I'm trying to get. I can't quite get there because I gotta get everything alone first. So this 3 multiplied by all that. Well, the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. So if I just hit this divide key and say, well, I'm going to take all that information, that's this right here, and I'm going to divide it by 3. And I will make that go away. And I do it to both sides because we're balancing equations. And now I have this value. And what this value now represents is all of this. Let's just parenthesize that. All of that divided by 3. This 3, I divided both sides by 3. Those 3's canceled. So now you can have, this is where I'm at in the process. And this is how it's represented on my calculator. Now, if you look at this, it's pretty clear here now. I'm almost there. I almost got that guy all by itself, but I have a -1 standing in the way. Well, again, opposite operations. What do I got to do here? Well, I got to add 1 to both sides. So if we could rewrite this thing real fast. If I added 1, those ones would cancel. So you would have, it would look kind of like this. Negative 7/8, the big fraction. So all that happened. We did all that math right there. And then we just added 1. Right? We just added 1. And that's where that would put us. So I'm just going to hit plus, and I'm adding it to all this, 1. Voila. And now we have this big number. Now don't write this down. Let your calculator do the work for you. So essentially right now what I'm saying is I have all of this whole story right here. I got that whole thing. And this is what's left on the other side. And that's how we represent that. Now, I got to get this k down. And the way we get this k down is we're going to use our logarithms, right? So when we use our logarithms, and let me just jump over here. Let's draw like a little thought bubble, or like a little timeout. Hold on, let's see here. Okay. Let's draw a little timeout here. If I take the log of this side, that's fine, okay? But if I take the log of this side, what that's going to let me do, just put like a little, this is like an interruption, I guess we could say. Okay. If I took the log of that side, if I wrote log 1/8 k, what that log lets me do is recontextualize this or rethink this as k times log to the 8th. Okay, that's what that lets us do. And that's a big key to our success here. So if you could come back up here and imagine, I'm going to put a log on this side. And then it's going to put a log on this side. And I'll just, okay, you know what? Let's just rewrite it one last time to make it clear and nice for you guys. I'm just going to rewrite all this. You'll see exactly how this works. Again, forgive my handwriting. I'm just trying to hurry up for you guys. So we did the log of that, and we just said, well, all that, I just rewrote that. And again, to be clear, that's that right there. That's why I'm not messing with it. So I rewrite all that. I'm going to take the log of that, and it's going to be equal to k times log 1/8. Now you can see here, this is great news. My k is almost all by itself, but it's just being multiplied by this log 1/8. Well, think of this like everything else. What is the opposite of multiplying by log 8? Well, that would be to divide by log 8. So now we're going to do the final process here. So first things first, I took log of all of this. In other words, I need to take log of all of that. So watch, I just hit log, easy peasy, go up, highlight all that information, hit enter, close my parentheses, and hit enter. Now that value right there is all of this. We are cooking. And now I just need to divide all of this by log 1/8. Log 1/8. And if I divide this side by log 1/8, those would cancel. And you can see k is now all by itself. So last step, if you look, all I have to do is take all this, divide it. All I did was divide, saying I'm going to divide your previous answer by what? By log 1/8. And I always wrap up my parentheses because I'm nervous I'm going to mess it up. So don't forget your last parenthesis. Boom! 5. So they say k, not they, the question says, well, k is, now we know k is 5. That's great news. K is 5, and we are done. That k means that if you summed up all the first 5 terms to get this value, that's the value you would get. Okay, so there you go, k is 5. Now, the next video I make, I'm going to go over an alternate question type where we just use this formula here. Okay, we're going to pick up right where we left off when we come back for the next video. All right, see you next video. Bye.